Have you ever felt your heart sink because someone didn't text you back? Or felt a wave of panic after noticing a shift in someone's tone, even though they didn't say anything bad? That silent fear, that tension in your chest, that overthinking spiral, that's rejection sensitivity. It's not just about fearing rejection. It's about expecting it, feeling it before it happens, and living with the constant belief that you'll eventually be unwanted. You start to value yourself less because you have it planted in your brain that no one wants to spend time with you. And the truth is, people who feel rejection most deeply aren't weak. They're often the ones who've loved hardest, cared the most, and been hurt the deepest. Today, we're going to break down the entire psychology behind rejection sensitivity, what's happening inside your emotions, your thoughts, and even your brain, and how you can finally start to free yourself from it. Rejection sensitivity is when your emotional system becomes hypersensitive to the possibility of disapproval, abandonment, or exclusion. It's like living with a radar that constantly scans your environment, analyzing every facial expression, tone shift, or text message for clues that someone might not like you anymore. For example, your friend cancels plans for a valid reason, and instantly your brain goes, "They don't want to hang out with me." Your partner seems quieter than usual, and the thought hits, "They've lost interest." You post something online and no one responds. Your mood drops as if you've been publicly rejected. These reactions might look irrational to others, but they're actually deeply conditioned responses, patterns the mind learned to protect you from pain. Rejection sensitivity isn't about dramatizing. It's about anticipating pain so you can brace yourself for it. The irony is that this very anticipation becomes its own form of suffering. When you strip away the overthinking, the emotional spirals, and the constant analyzing of people's behavior, what's really underneath rejection sensitivity are three powerful emotions: fear, shame, and the desperate need for control. Fear says, "If I get too close, they'll leave." Shame says, "If they really know me, they'll reject me." Control whispers, "Maybe if I behave perfectly, I can keep them." These are the inner forces driving the sensitivity. They work together like gears in an emotional machine, one turning the next, creating a cycle that keeps people stuck in hypervigilance and emotional pain. It's an exhausting way to live, because you're not just reacting to rejection, you're trying to outsmart it before it happens. No one is born rejection sensitive. It's learned, usually very early in life. Psychologists link this to attachment theory, which describes how our early relationships with caregivers shape the way we connect as adults. When a child experiences inconsistent care, love that comes and goes, the nervous system learns that affection isn't stable. It wires the brain to always stay on alert for disconnection. Let's break it down. Inconsistent care, when a caregiver is affectionate one day but distant the next, the child never knows what to expect. This unpredictability teaches love can disappear without warning. Harsh or conditional love. When love only comes after achievement or good behavior, the child learns, "I must earn love by being perfect." This forms a deep internal pressure to please and perform. Neglect or emotional absence. When no one responds to a child's emotions, they internalize, "My feelings don't matter. If I show them, I'll be ignored." This later becomes emotional suppression, or an anxious need to overcommunicate to feel seen. These early messages become emotional blueprints that guide how you interpret every adult relationship. That's why, as an adult, something small, like a neutral facial expression, can unconsciously trigger the same feeling you had as a child when someone you loved emotionally disappeared. Rejection isn't just emotional, it's neurological. Brain imaging studies show that the anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, the same area that processes physical pain, lights up during social rejection. This means your brain literally treats rejection like injury. That's why your chest aches, your stomach tightens, and your mind races. It's a biological pain response. The amygdala, the brain's threat detector, also activates during perceived rejection. It floods your body with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, preparing you for danger. But because this danger is emotional, not physical, there's nowhere for that energy to go. It turns inward, creating anxiety, racing thoughts, and self-blame. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, which helps you think rationally and calm yourself, gets suppressed by the amygdala's alarm. So even if you know someone probably isn't rejecting you, your body is already reacting as if they did. That's why logic alone can't calm rejection sensitivity. The brain's emotional alarm is faster, stronger, and older than the rational voice that tries to reason with it. Rejection sensitivity doesn't just affect romance. It seeps into every social area: work, family, friendships, even creativity. Here are a few ways it might show up. People-pleasing. You over-accommodate others just to feel safe in their acceptance. Over-apologizing. You say sorry even when you didn't do anything wrong. Emotional withdrawal. You pull away before others can. Rumination. You replay conversations, analyzing every word. Text anxiety. You dread sending messages because you fear being ignored. It's like living with an invisible rulebook that says, don't upset anyone, don't make mistakes, don't be too much, or you'll lose them. But what's tragic is that these self-protective behaviors often cause the very thing you fear. People sense the tension, the overthinking, the guarded energy, and that can create distance, which then proves your fear was right. Rejection sensitivity fuels distorted thought patterns that make emotional pain stronger. The main ones include mind reading, believing you know what others think about you without real evidence; catastrophizing, expecting the worst; personalization, assuming neutral behavior is about you; emotional reasoning, believing that if you feel rejected, it must be true. These distortions create a loop. Thoughts create fear. Fear creates interpretation. Interpretation creates more distorted thoughts. The brain's goal isn't accuracy, it's protection. It's trying to keep you from being blindsided again, even if that means inventing threats that don't exist. Living with rejection sensitivity is like walking through life without emotional armor. You feel everything, too much, too deeply, too often. It can lead to social anxiety, fearing social situations where judgment is possible; low self-esteem, measuring worth through others' reactions; emotional exhaustion, constantly regulating fear; depression or isolation, withdrawing to avoid pain altogether. And deep beneath all of it is shame, the silent belief that if people truly knew me, they wouldn't stay. This inner shame drives perfectionism, codependency, and people-pleasing, all strategies to mask the fear of being seen and rejected. Rejection sensitivity traps people in a painful cycle. You sense possible rejection. Anxiety rises. You try to control the situation, pleasing, explaining, or pulling away. The other person feels pressure or confusion and naturally creates distance. That distance confirms your worst fear. I was right, they don't care. The brain locks the pattern deeper. Each loop makes the belief stronger. So you're not only protecting yourself from rejection, you're unconsciously recreating it. Healing rejection sensitivity isn't about becoming indifferent. It's about teaching your nervous system that connection is safe again. Let's go deeper into how that happens. 1. Awareness and naming. The first step is simply noticing the pattern without judgment. When you feel the panic of rejection rising, say to yourself, my brain is detecting danger, but I'm safe right now. Naming the emotion interrupts the automatic loop between feeling and reaction. 2. Reparenting and self-compassion. Rejection sensitivity is often an inner child crying out for safety. Through self-talk, journaling, or therapy, you can begin to reparent that part of you, the part that still believes love disappears. Simple affirmations like, it's okay to be me, or not everyone's silence means rejection, gradually rewire your emotional response. 3. Mindfulness and grounding. When your body enters fight or flight mode after perceived rejection, grounding techniques, breathing, sensory awareness, gentle movement, calm the amygdala, and bring the prefrontal cortex back online. This teaches your body that discomfort isn't danger. 4. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. CBT helps identify and challenge distorted thoughts. Instead of assuming rejection, you learn to ask, "What's the evidence for this? Have I misinterpreted before? Could there be another explanation?" This rewires your brain to slow down between emotion and interpretation. 5. Attachment-focused therapy. This type of therapy works on the root cause, attachment wounds. Through consistent, safe relational experiences, your nervous system learns that love can be stable, reliable, and secure. You begin to internalize safety instead of chasing it. 6. Building internal validation. The ultimate goal is learning to source validation internally. You begin to understand, my worth doesn't rise or fall with other people's approval. That shift changes everything, because when rejection no longer threatens your identity, it stops controlling your life. Healing rejection sensitivity doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop collapsing when you care. You'll start noticing subtle changes. A slow reply doesn't ruin your day anymore. Silence no longer means rejection. It might just mean life. You stop walking on eggshells and start speaking authentically. And when rejection does happen, because it's part of being human, it still hurts, but it no longer defines your worth. You begin to see rejection not as proof of your inadequacy, but as redirection toward alignment. That's emotional freedom, the ability to stay rooted in your value, even when love or approval wavers. Rejection sensitivity doesn't mean you're broken. It means you were once deeply hurt, and your mind built a defense to protect you. But that defense isn't needed forever. When you learn to replace fear with self-trust and shame with compassion, your sensitivity becomes your greatest strength, because it allows you to love, empathize, and connect more deeply than most people ever will. The goal isn't to stop feeling, it's to feel safely, to know that no matter who rejects you, you never reject yourself. If you like this content and want to see more, hit that like and subscribe so more people can see this. Also, comment down below, have you ever felt rejection sensitivity